A lot of new people here this evening. Do you know what Om Shanti means? Anyone who doesn't know what Om Shanti means? Okay, you don't? You do. What does it mean? I am a being of peace. I am a being of peace. Did you know that? How many of you are feeling peaceful? How many of you felt peaceful all day? Most of the day. Oh, good for you. Good for you. Yeah. And what do you do when you don't feel peaceful? It's crazy. Yeah. We make ourselves crazy or the world makes us crazy. Both, right? When you were a child, did you think Band-Aids were magical? They were, and they still are. I cut myself with a little tiny scissor. I was cutting off a tag on a new shirt, and I pinched my finger right here, and it's pretty much gone, but I can still touch it and feel it. The minute I put that Band-Aid on, I could do anything with the finger. The minute I took it off, it was useless. It's magic. And sometimes I perform magic on myself as an adult with a thing I call attitude. And that's what I learned here. So if you're new to us tonight, we learn peace here. We teach peace here. And this is a pretty good crowd considering it's a very serious Jewish holiday, right? Tonight is the holiest night of the year, Kol Nidre, where the Jews atone for their sins. And right now they're breaking fast. They fasted the whole day. So I'm a little surprised to see so many people here, and that's terrific. Welcome. And I hope you'll come back. Many of you are regulars. But we learn to be peaceful when the rest of the world isn't. Would you agree? Raise your hand if you agree with that. You've been here. Okay. So we learn, we teach ourselves. How do you do that? How do you do that? Practice. What do you practice? Judy said positive thoughts. So what I tell myself becomes the truth. Is it true? Okay. One year, I don't remember why I had a prescription for any kind of pain because I resist taking medication usually. But I had some sort of back thing, and I asked my husband if we had any pills, that I took whenever. And he said, yeah, I think so. And he gave me something. Months later, I looked at the date on the pill jar and they were expired, but it worked. Now, you may say it worked because the expiration date is true, but I went to my husband and I said, did you know those pills were expired? And he said, yeah. I said, well, why'd you give them to me? He said, because I thought you could make them work. So he thinks I have a power that he doesn't have because I'm, the glass is half full and he's the glass is half empty. So I have a reputation for making things work. How many of you have a reputation? Or you're like, you kind of, okay. So there's this other sense, right? And we can heal ourselves by what we think. That's why positive affirmations work. You know why they work? They work because your brain doesn't know the difference between a thought and an action, right? Okay. So if I keep telling my brain that something doesn't hurt, I'm not saying, intense pain will go, but I'm going to feel better than if I kept walking around, dialing the phone. My back. Oh gosh, I'm 70, 100 and my back is killing me all the. If I keep doing that, my back responds in kind, right? Okay, so Band-Aids work, positive affirmations work. Ever in a situation where you were helpless? What we learn to do here is to detach emotionally. And it's not that I don't care. I'm giving a quickie course because I know how many of you are brand new tonight? Raise your hand. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. This is a big, brand new. So here's what we do. We detach. In other words, if someone asks me to dance, I don't have to say yes. So someone says something inappropriate or someone is doing something I don't like. And he wants to, let's say, yell at me or take something. How do I emotionally detach? Can anyone tell these new people how we do that? How do we do that? Ah, so you don't feed it. Yeah, you feed the dog you want to live, right? Not only that, we believe in something called karma here. So what I'm doing is stopping it from escalating, because if I start feeding and being offended and my ego is all bruised, oh, it becomes ugly. And some people hit each other even, and we take it out on children. So we unlearn that here. We unlearn. But what do we do when we really have no control? For example, tonight, Brother Eric, you're going to have a good night. He always surprises me. He's always so creative. Brother Eric is going to talk about nature's healing plan. And if you didn't see the flyer, it says, he said, when we do not feel well, something needs to change, whether it is to take medicine, rest some, or change our actions. We receive warnings on what to do and what not to do. Do we listen? And can we listen tonight about the plan nature has for us? And you came to find out. So this isn't exactly the prettiest we've ever been as a country, as a world. And I'm looking forward to the changes that Brother Eric will bring to us within the next hour, as far as how we think about how we might just have some power, inner power, to affect our world somehow. Anybody willing to try? Okay, Brother Eric, you are on. We're demanding big things tonight. Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about Brother Eric. See what I don't have a. He is a practitioner of Raja Yoga. That's what we teach for over 40 years, and is extremely experienced and insightful and brilliant. Blushing? Okay. Instructor and retreat facilitator. What's that? Yeah. And modest. And he doesn't think he's half as good as he really is, right? No. My father used to say, actually, I don't think I'm half as good as I really am. And he's our representative to the UN, and he's also on the board of directors of the Long Island Multi-Faith Forum. And before that, he was a civil engineer in property loss management. So I bring you, without further ado, Brother Eric. Thank you.
Magic of technology, you'll be able to hear me even better now. Can you hear me even better now? All right, welcome to everyone. Welcome to Global Harmony House. I hope it's been okay so far, and I hope it gets even better every moment. We all had fathers, we all got advice. I was reminded of the advice I did get, or the comment I got from my father. And he said, you got a good education and you didn't let it go to your head, you know. So very modest in that. That's right. So we have a theme on healing this month. And so I'm hoping to be able to promise on what was written, but have a few thoughts about that topic, nature's healing plan. And the reason I thought about that and wanted to kind of explore and share with all of you, this will be a little interactive if you'd like, is that's kind of how it has worked for me. Okay. I'm made a real clear decision in my life that I wasn't going to be a doctor. That's not what I was going to be. And it was real clear I wasn't going to be a lawyer. It was real clear I wasn't going to be a football player. A lot of things were very easy to me for me to decide. But one of the things about understanding the health is that somehow it worked. And want to push forward to you a concept that health, good health, is our natural state. Okay, and I want you to think about that's the way we're supposed to be. Typically, born healthy, maintain that. And if we don't have that, somehow we can kind of tweak it to get back. Have you ever not felt well? Heads can nod. Okay. And have you ever come out of that somehow? And when we understand that good health is our natural state, then we can kind of look and see that there's, this element that we have. And right now I'm talking of the physical body. And here we talk about kind of a concept of who we are. And we have two elements, physical body, spiritual soul. And starting with the physical, that the body, in order to kind of maintain or hold that or have good health, it starts a lot with knowing the self. Okay. And over time, I'm hoping you have all learned what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and what's good for you and what's not good for you. And you've learned a lot of these things um, growing up over time, and knowledge of the systems. Okay. And when we have that awareness, um, we learn a lot. Okay. That we should get vitamins, we should eat healthy, we should exercise. Those are the things that are kind of broadcast to us. You've been told that, I hope, by your parents, by your friends. Now the whole world is talking about what's healthy and what's not. And there's some companies that are suffering because the price of potato chips is real high and it's not good. And they're trying to figure out how to keep selling those, because people are deciding that maybe that's not the best thing for me to have. And there's a lot of decisions, but there's a lot of knowledge that you've picked up over time, and what to do with that and how to do that. Following it is something else. Okay. But there's something about knowing how we work and what's good that can be followed then by how we might use that knowledge. And I'm going to use the term prevention, or that we can understand that if we do certain things, there's going to be consequences to that. Okay, if we eat too much, if we eat the wrong things, if we eat too much sugar, whatever it's going to be, um, excess seems to cause problems in our life. And so we have the knowledge. So if I want health and if it's a natural state, what can I do with that? Okay. And so the basic typical things, are watch your diet, fruits and vegetables, exercise, do those types of things. And there's that understanding that that helps the system, it prevents problems, and it gives us the energy that we need. I worked, as it was mentioned, with insurance company as an engineer, kind of looked and saw what they did and such. And there were probably a couple, but the two main styles of taking care of things. One was preventative. Okay. You check um, the machinery, you oil it as need be. Every spring you fix this, and you keep things running. It's preventative. And the other is breakdown. Okay, breakdown maintenance. And I don't know, usually you're in one of those two camps. But when something fails, you say, oh, now I got to fix it. Okay. Um, I hope you are doing preventative with your house, with your body, with your car. You get it changed, do the oil, do these things, and then it runs when you want. Um, but if you are in the other camp, when the door falls off, then you kind of figure that out. Or when the plumbing backs up, then you call the plumbers. There's a lot of different styles, but it affects our physical being too. What kind of way do you use the knowledge about yourself to make yourself in that sense of health? You wait for something to fail and then say, oh, okay, when you have a heart attack and you say, okay, now I'm going to stop eating those things or whatever it's going to be. Or do we start to understand how the physical works and how we can put that into practice? Um, because when we have the knowledge and when we start to apply that, one of the other things that I have learned is that we need to rest. Do you all get enough rest during the day? No. Okay. Because if I was your doctor and if you came to me and said, I'm not feeling good, you know what I would tell you to do? Just get some rest and stay in bed. Okay. And then when you feel better, get out of bed. Because somehow, and I'm going to pick up on the Band-Aid, um, the nature, the body has some sort of mechanism that brings you back to good health. Okay. Cut with scissors or pinched or, you know, however it's going to be. And you don't have to have a magic Band-Aid necessarily. But somehow the physical body has a mechanism to heal physically. Have you all had cuts before? We're not going to cut you now if you haven't, but we're going to trust that you've had life experiences. And if you've had that, you put a Band-Aid on it or something around it, there's healing that happens. There's a nature of bringing us back to wholeness, perfection, whatever is possible. And there are extreme cases and such like this, but it works in most situations. If we give ourselves, the physical part of ourselves, some time and the right nutrients and whatever, it kind of comes back and heals itself. I've had that with fevers and coughs and such, that one of the things that seems to be useful, helpful, and a little medicine here and there and the right things, that's where the knowledge of yourself comes in. I get better. That's kind of the energy that we can work with. And having that understanding and faith that there's something that if I listen to it, there's lots of signals, then I can start to prevent it from getting worse. I can start to understand, use that knowledge about what's happening and do things that will allow me to stay healthy. I've had an experience, for some reason, we've got, I'm not even going to describe it right, but lubricating systems around our eyes. And one time it got plugged up. And these are my words, they're not the doctor's words. And so I had this kind of bulge coming out of my eye. And it's like, well, this isn't right. But I didn't know what it was, and didn't understand it and didn't know where to go and such. And it kind of got a little lumpy on the eyelid. And I thought, well, I don't know what I'm doing. So maybe I should get some advice from someone who does. So I went to an eye doctor, and the eye doctor says, oh, yeah, it's, oils, lubricants aren't draining right. And what happened is it congealed. And so then I had to have a little operation, and they took out this little lump of hard oil, I guess. And they called it, there's a name for that. It's kind of big. And then it was fine. But that solves that specific issue, but it didn't solve the underlying problem. Okay. And so there's still once in a while, probably every 7 months, 12 months, I don't know what it is. There seems to be this blockage. And now that I have some knowledge about what's going on, I can take steps to prevent that. They recommended hot compresses. Okay. And if you put a cloth into a hot water and you do that, then you get dribbled down. But now I've figured out through good experience, rice. Rice is all water. You heat that up and it's hot, and then that softens the oil or whatever it is, and it kind of goes away. And using that example as an understanding of who we are, how things work, and what we can do. Before I had knowledge, I suffered. Wasn't horrible, probably worse to look at me than it was on the inside, but I could feel these things. And now I know the sensation. I can take some action. I help the body, but the body wants to fix itself. And so kind of working hand in hand in that process allows me to get through these things much easier. It doesn't come, it doesn't stay, don't need an operation, don't need anything like that. And I think that same process is too on a spiritual level. It here, Raja Yoga is basically understanding the self. And we talk about ourselves as alive and two energies, the physical, the body, and we're kind of consumed by that. But there's another part to ourselves, the spiritual, called the soul. And there's this energy of ourselves. And so if we want good health, we listen to what the body says, what the stomach says, what the eye says, and kind of learn over time how to work with that. And I think the same is true on the spiritual level, that we first need to know how we work. We need some knowledge and that understanding. And if we pay attention, we can pick up some clues on who we are, what type of a personality we've got, and what we want. And the reason my experience has been that people come here is they're looking for something, or they want to continue to experience something. And if we had a poll, if we had a sampling of what it is, peace, love, happiness, contentment, patience, non-physical qualities, spiritual qualities, metaphysical, that's something that we like because it's part of our nature. Okay. If you ask anybody, and I'll ask you all this, we'll plan a vacation. Okay. How many of you have gone on vacation before? Okay. How many are going to go on a vacation in the next year? Next 2 years before you retire? You're supposed to take vacations. You're supposed to, you can have a staycation. You can go in the backyard. But let's imagine we're going to go on a vacation. And think about what you want. Okay. Would you like to have fun? Okay. Would you like to have an enjoyable experience? Would you like it to be, calm? And would you like it to be, there are two types of people. Those who don't do much want something exciting, and those who work a lot, they just want to relax. Okay. So we tend to find something opposite from what we're doing. But that would be kind of one vision. Okay. Now, would you want to choose a vacation where things don't go right, you're irritated, it's noisy, people are rude, things don't work, it's overpriced, there's delays, there's frustration? Would that be how you would ever design your vacation? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Doesn't make any sense because that's not what we want. That doesn't resonate with us. That's not who we are. We want things to work. We want things to be easy. We want things to be calm. We want nice, joy, happiness, because that's our nature. We're looking to resonate our experiences with ourself. And so if we can understand that we are spiritual beings whose nature is love, peace, joy, contentment, a lot of qualities. And that when we have that knowledge, if we want to be healthy in those aspects, we need to do things to nurture that. Okay. I think it was mentioned, maybe Louise, did you say that sometimes that we just have these thoughts and they're very powerful? And that, it doesn't necessarily have to be in action for them to carry power, affirmations, positive thinking. And so if we have that awareness of ourselves and we see ourselves that way, that I'm a spiritual being, my nature is peace, and I hold that and I practice that, then that energy is going to start to flow. And I don't want you to experiment too much, but try the opposite sometime. I am not so good. This isn't working. I had this, nobody likes me. Have you ever been in that realm and or know someone who has that type of thinking? What's the difference in the energy of someone who is down on themselves, doesn't see things well, always holding in what was said about them, only seeing the bad, as opposed to, I am a peaceful being. I can do these things. Do you understand the contrast of what we create and what we hold and what the consequences of those are? Because we need to hold on to our truth. We are not our circumstances. We are not our situations. We are not the things that we've accumulated. We are a peaceful, eternal being of peace and love. And with that knowledge, then we can kind of put into the practice, the prevention, so that we can stay healthy with those thoughts. And one of the things to address ourselves, I guess, is to watch what we do. And part of what we do here is to sit calmly and be aware of what's going on in our head. I hope you had a chance to practice that. A lot of you got here in time for the meditation. So congratulations to yourself, because it's a really useful for me, powerful, informative time. What am I thinking? Where is my mind going? What am I connecting to? What am I bringing into myself? What am I the master of? Or am I allowing all sorts of other things to come into me? And I have to experience those thoughts. So when we know kind of who we are, then we can kind of understand how we work. What am I thinking? What is the thought that's in my mind? What came to me? What am I choosing? And when I have that ability to be quiet, be calm, kind of understand what's happening, then I can kind of direct that. I can start to have that influence that I am someone who likes peace and happiness. And now this thought of sorrow and worry has come into me. Like, wait a minute, why am I having this thought, but I want this? And that's the moment we kind of say, hey, okay, that's what's happened, but let me change it. Let me start to watch. Let me start to understand what the thoughts are. And the more I start to do that, the better I get at noticing what is happening. And like my eye, I kind of gets these sensations that, hey, something's happening. Let me do something to prevent that from getting worse. Let me get at this cloth of rice, put it on my eye. The heat's going to loosen things up and it's going to flow. If I'm starting to get all sorts of thoughts that are weak or hostile or make me angry or upset, it's like, okay, that's what's coming, but what can I do about that? And so let me change that. Let me think of something else. Let me do something different in my thinking. Because when I do something different in my thinking, I change that. I change my way of seeing things. And then automatically, I'm going to change how I see things. And then I can start to change what I say and what I do. And so if we have a idea of this vacation, because that was mentioned, this is what I want. Well, what do I have to do? Where do I start? Where am I now? I should probably start saving some money. I should probably buy some sandals. And then it'll work out. If I want in my life, and I hope you all will make this decision, that you want your life to be joyful, content, friendly, whatever it is that you want, happy, peaceful, then I have to start to act that way. I have to start to say things that way. I have to start to think that way. I have to start to practice that. I have to become what we call here soul conscious. I am this being. I've got these two energies. I've got the physical. It's got a healing quality built into it. My nature is health physically. My nature is health, peace, love, spiritually, naturally. That's who I am. That's how I'm supposed to be. That's how I work best. And so if I'm not feeling peaceful or happy or content, I'm getting a signal somehow. Okay. It's something I'm doing, something I'm eating, something I'm digesting, something I'm bringing in is causing a problem and taking me away from my natural state of health, spiritual health. And I will give you the same, I will give you the same advice as a non-doctor on how to fix your ailments. Get some rest. Okay. Lay down, change the energy, just kind of let the body heal itself. You don't, you can't talk to a cut and say, heal, heal, heal. I can't give you that power. I met someone one time in London. Who's the guy who can bend spoons? Uri Geller. I was at a program with him. He was with one of our teachers, and he was able to actually bend spoons. Okay, so he could make seeds grow somehow. He might have been able to help heal a cut. We didn't do that. We didn't cut anybody and see if he could fix that or something like that. Kind of very interesting. One of the comments somebody says is, "You have all this power, and all you're doing is bending spoons." But that's a side note. But you're not going to heal through the thought, but having a powerful thought somehow allows good energy to flow. And on the same on the spiritual aspect of ourselves, our nature is to have good health, happy, peaceful, content. And an average child is that. They're happy, they're content, they don't have thoughts that bog them down, that they worry about. That's our nature. That's our original form. That's how we can be. And so somehow we've picked up a way of looking, a way of seeing, a way of experiencing. And we've had experiences that kind of interfere and give us a justification to let go of that. Well, because of this, I'm going to be unhappy. Because this is what happened 20 years ago, I'm still going to be sad. Okay. Your choice. One can choose how they want to think, what they want to hold on to, how they want to be. But we can change it also. This happened, wasn't good, but now I'm going to change that. Now I'm going to choose to be something else. Now I'm going to think about that. And one of the things, we rest physically and we rest spiritually. And the rest is not coming here and sleeping. All right, that would be a mistake. That would not be what I'm trying to communicate. Although we've had many successful resting individuals before. But the intent is a spiritual rest is, can I quiet my mind? Can I calm my thinking? Can I slow it down? Can I start to, in a way, savor the thoughts that come my way that will nurture me? Who am I? What is the experience? Can I see myself as this energy of peace and love? Can I see myself interacting? For us, we see ourselves as a soul interacting through thoughts that connect to the physical. Can I see myself that way? Can I picture those qualities of health, happiness, and just take some time and kind of slow things down, not into a sleep rest, but into a peaceful rest. And when I'm able to do that, there's something amazing, magical, powerful, natural, however it's going to be, that energy that comes, that I'm allowed to emerge because I'm not having the thoughts that are taking me away. I feel better. I feel, for me, my experiences, I feel good. I feel the way I think I'm supposed to be. And if you can't do it yourself. I couldn't fix my eye myself. I had to go get some help, someone who knew more, someone who had more power over these situations. Went to a doctor, eye doctor, ophthalmologist, I think. He knew things, he could help, he gave guidance. And sometimes we can't fix ourselves. We need help. And on the spiritual level, there's help available. And what's amazing is to think that if I'm a spiritual being, if have those two energies, body and soul, body changes, body fades, let me identify with the eternal, the thing that's beyond matter. Let me see myself as this entity. Let me see myself as the soul, personality, qualities. And if I see myself that way, then I can kind of extrapolate and see others that way too. You must be a soul having a body. You too, all of you. And so there's a variety, and there might be millions and billions, and there might be one who's like me that is very powerful. And one of the basic tenets of Raja Yoga is that whatever you think about, you connect to. It's almost like you have a laser or you have a line. I'm going to think about that clock, and then I see what time it is. I'm going to think about this cushion. Then I'm thinking about the cushion, the qualities, the color, the pattern. Whatever I choose to think about, I start to pull in. I can think about somebody's weaknesses. I can think about my job. I can think about my home. I can think about what's in the refrigerator. And I go right there. I connect instantly. And so if I can use that power as a spiritual being and recognize I can start to think about another soul, supreme soul, God. And that if I am able to hold on to that awareness that there is someone like me who has these qualities, and if I can take my mind there and hold on to that, and I connect with that, then it's kind of like a doctor. He's going to give me what I need. I'm going to receive the energy, the qualities, the power that is going to heal me, bring me back to my natural state. Sometimes we can't do it on our own, but we're not supposed to do it on our own. Sometimes things happen and we need support. We need friends, we need connections. But if we have this knowledge of ourselves, if we have this practice and we prevent ourselves from going in the wrong direction, we keep practicing these things, we'll get good, we'll get better, and we'll have support. And so that sense of how do I heal myself? What is nature's process? Part of it is giving nature a chance, both physically and spiritually. Give nature a chance. See if you can sit, see if you can rest your mind about the world. Okay. We're talking here right now. I hope you're kind of focused and kind of conversing with yourself as we go through with this. But whatever you've left, whatever's going on, is still going on. But it doesn't have an influence if you're focused in on something else. We're not going to change what's outside, but we're going to empower ourselves to deal better with whatever it is that we go back to. And if we can allow ourselves to be empowered, if we can have that understanding that when I come here, when I have a place at home, when I just sit and choose to think about myself healthy, happy, content, picture it, see it, act that way, that energy is going to automatically come. I'm going to nurture myself. I am going to allow what the nature of the universe wants. And that's for me to be healthy. Wants for me to be healthy. That's my nature. Wants me to be happy. That's my nature. Happy, joyful, peaceful, all those qualities. Anything that you want on your vacation is a thought away. You don't have to travel so far. I don't want to talk you out of your vacation, but it's possible to take time to have that awareness that if I practice, and for me, this is my meditation, seeing myself and choosing to see that, that energy comes in, I experience that. That's my practice. I have that ability, and that's what I use in my life. Depending on how you want to be, you can do that. Depending on how you want to experience and how to be interacting with it, you can do that. I'm going to pause for a minute here and see if there's any thoughts or comments or epiphanies or inspirations or anything at all. Yes,
Wait
we
for
have
the
a
mic because we have
microphone. There are
Zoom.
people on Zoom.
Well, we have
So
people on Zoom that can't hear
yeah,
you.
it's important for us to hear. Thanks.
I just wanted to say that I had the same experience just recently with my eye.
Oh, sorry about that.
And I knew that it was definitely something going on the exterior. And I don't just mean the environment or bacteria or whatever. It was how I was feeling and what I was doing with work and the stress circumstances that I truly believe brought that on.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. And I never ended up going to the doctor. Of course, I Googled what to do, but use the warm compresses. And
Yeah.
I realize when I'm in that state of frenzy and anxiety and stress, that my body reacts to that.
Okay.
Like I'm very well aware of that.
If we listen to our body, it will give us signs that what we're doing isn't healthy. Okay. And a lot of times we don't listen. Okay. Because got to work, got to do this, we got to keep up, whatever excuse we make. But it will take its toll. And the same is true on the spiritual level. If we are unhappy, if we're frustrated, if we kind of go through life, those experiences, those feelings are telling us something needs to change in your thinking for you to be well. Okay, if you are angry, if you are unhappy, if you are upset, if you are touchy, what is setting that off, and why don't you have the power to hold on to the way you want to be? Why are you letting something outside of you dictate how you should experience your life? We need to be powerful. We need to practice. We need to eat the right things. We need to think the right things. Great, thanks. Others? Anybody else? Thought?
For a question? Mhm.
Anybody have an itchy ear? Like, see how that goes. Does that make some sense? Okay. Will you take care of yourselves? Will you? Okay. Some of you are still thinking about it. It looks like, I don't know. It's like, well, that sounds like work, or I'm not sure how this is going to play out. But it's one thing to know something, and it's something else to say, yeah, I will do something. Okay. There was a great, I think it was like first and second grade. I had a book. How many of you had book? This is a long time ago. It's called Think and Do. It's a Think and Do book. Okay. It was a great title. How to write and things like this, first grade, whatever. But I never thought about what it was called until a lot later, but it was the Think and Do book. Okay. But it is, you learned something and then you practiced it. Okay. You had to use it for it to be any good. Because knowing something is great, but not using that knowledge is a waste. And so, how do we want to create our lives? What do we want for ourselves? This is what I can do. I need to do it. And so, my question always is, will you do something for yourself that will create the life you want? And then you're supposed to stand up and say, yeah, let's go do it. Okay. Okay, maybe on the way out, you can kind of, yeah, something else. Okay, good. Does that make some sense? Are you okay? You feeling healthy, feeling happy, feeling inspired? Please.
Yeah, wait.
Um, how long does it take to feel that way? That depends, I guess, on how much practicing going in the opposite direction you've been doing. Yeah. In that sense that would not guarantee that things fixed because you know something. Okay. Do you ever do music? Okay. Have you ever seen what a violin is? Okay. I can teach you how to play the violin. I can teach you all how to play the violin. The violin is kind of like a short little guitar and that you put under your chin. And it's got these kind of lines on it. It's got a hollow box. And you have something called a bow. Okay. And the way you play the violin is you push the bow over the strings and you wiggle your fingers. Now you know. How good do you want to get at the violin? Because you're going to hit a note, that's pretty bad. And you're going to, that's horrible. How good do you want to get? How much music do you want to play? It's going to take time. You know the rules. I just taught you that. So how happy do you want to be? How peaceful do you want to be? And how much are you willing to put into that? Okay. Because you can say, oh, I know how to play the violin. I just had a lesson, now I know. But you're not a musician. And it's going to sound horrible. And so leaving here thinking, oh, I know all I have to do is watch my thoughts and then I'll be happy. Okay, you'll be maybe a little bit happier, but it's going to take a lifetime. And how long do you want to be happy? So all of those questions I put back to you. Does that make some sense? Yeah. You have learned the secret, okay? You've opened a door and inside is a treasure. But now you got to collect it. Now you got to take it to the pawn shop. Now you got to get the cash. Now you got to put it in the bank. I mean, you're not done when you find the key. That's kind of how I'm going to explain that. Maybe it'll be immediately. But some people struggle for years because they're so practiced in thinking, oh, it's my mother. Oh, it's the world. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. You are responsible. You are empowered to take control and choose what you want to create what you want. There is no excuse. There's nothing external. If you want.
Takes courage. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
It takes a lot of courage. But you mentioned something or someone before. You were talking about, I don't remember the language you used, Supreme Soul or God.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the support that is available to us if we are courageous or?
Okay, you're
You want to
guiding
talk
me
about me?
to like taking classes here or
To what?
to like taking classes on how to do that here?
In the privacy of my own
Yeah.
room at home,
Yeah.
I have support when I'm on the beam, when I'm doing and thinking the way you've just talked about.
Yeah. Going to answer that with the thought, the sun. Okay. It's getting a little chillier. It's going down quicker and things like that. But when you go out into the sun, somehow we get vitamin D, right? Okay. How we get it, where it goes, how it's used, I don't know. But there's that source of energy. Okay. Physically, that's one of the things. It just changes your mood. There's all sorts of energy in the sun. It can heat things, power things. And that example for me is a lot like the relationship we could have with the Supreme Soul, that there's just always energy available. And do I do I take myself outside? Do I sit in that? I know when I go outside, I feel better. Okay. I'm looking at a screen for a while. I'm thinking about something. And when I let that go, just changing, being outside, letting the energy of the wind and the trees and the green and the sun. I think somebody said taking a sun bath or taking a forest bath. Okay. There's something about making yourself available. And I also believe that's how it works for us on the physical and also on the spiritual. That if I make myself available by being able to move my thoughts into who am I, who else is there, that the energy just starts to flow. I don't have to consciously, focus on so many things, but I have to just take my mind into that awareness. I am this peaceful being. I am this spiritual being. I am eternal. I have these qualities. There's someone who is always bombarding me with this energy of love and peace. The sun is out for the physical, God is out for the spiritual. And so we have that ability. Pretty exciting. If it's okay, we're going to just see if we can heal ourselves a little bit. Are you up for that? And so what I'd like to do is just share a few thoughts and have you see if you can focus on those and hold those and see if we might be able to bring ourselves into a step closer to our original self. So take a deep breath. Exhale. Feel how that experience was. Take another deep breath and be happy that you're alive, that you're breathing, that things are working out, that you had the opportunity to come here tonight, be with these people. Because as we take another breath, we're going to bring in the feeling of relaxation and peace. And breathe at your own speed, at your own pace, at your own depth. But know that when I breathe in now, I'm alive and I'm thinking. And I'm going to think the thought that I'm in a room, silent, experience a moment of peace. And I'm breathing in the peaceful vibrations, peaceful energy. And I focus my attention on that. I allow that energy to reemerge. I know that concentrating my mind allows that healing spiritual energy to rise and return. My nature is peace. I'm thinking of myself at peace. I feel that energy of peace moving through my spirits and physical. My mind is powerful. I'm able to create and hold a thought, and I experience the power of that thought. I rest the body. I rest the mind. I rest the soul. I know how to take care of my body. I know how to take care of myself, the spiritual. I will watch what I eat, what I do. I will watch what I think, what I say, because I'm going to choose peace. Om Shanti. Hope there was something that was said tonight that you'll carry with you. And I do hope that you will do something well for yourself. Stay healthy. Shanti.
And while you're making these choices, and thank you so much, Brother Eric. Good evening, right? You may want to choose to come here on Sunday. You may know the holiday Diwali, and we're celebrating on Sunday, and it's going to be a magical, beautiful celebration of light. We think of it as inaugurating the whole season of lights. So there will be a lot of light, a lot of lightness. There's a flyer outside if you're new. Otherwise, you probably got it on your email, about what's going on Sunday. And it's the Festival of Lights. And I love this. Did you write this too? This
I
is
don't know.
beautiful. When a single lamp is lit, darkness fades and hope is born. When many lamps are lit, the night surrenders and hearts awaken to light. When all lamps are lit, the shadows retreat and a new golden era begins where peace, joy, and harmony reign. So if you'd like to join us, it will be 2:30 to 3 is a Diwali exhibition, and there'll be some goodies to eat too, I'm sure. And 3 to 5 is the program. And we're going to have a journey into the meaning of Diwali, glimpses of the golden age, cultural performances and music, and hope and peace and joy, and come have a good time if you're free. Om Shanti, thank you for coming. And if you'd like to leave us your email address, we'll make sure we put you on the mailing list if you're brand new. Om Shanti.
Thanks again. Om Shanti.